Welcome back to ZE Coins. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of coin collecting, focusing on the top 8 most valuable Washington quarter-dollar coins that could be worth a fortune. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, you won't want to miss this list. Let's get started. We're diving deep into the story of one of the most talked about quarters in United States numismatic history, the 1970 Washington quarter. You may have heard the buzz about this coin being worth thousands, and in some cases, tens of thousands of dollars. But what's the truth behind the legend? Why is the 1970 quarter so special? And most importantly, what is its current market value? Stay tuned as we uncover the facts, the myths, and the money behind this iconic piece of American coinage. To begin, let's set the stage. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, it quickly became one of the most recognizable coins in U.S. currency. But fast forward to 1970, a pivotal year in American history and also a turning point for coin production. Now here's the twist. The 1970 Washington quarter, minted at the Denver Mint, is normally not considered rare. In fact, over 417 million of them were struck. That's a huge number. So why are some 1970 quarters worth big money? The answer lies in a rare error variety that has captivated collectors for decades. Let's talk about the error. In a small number of cases, the Denver Mint mistakenly struck quarters on leftover proof planchets from 1941 Canadian quarters. Yes, you heard that right, Canadian coins. These error coins were never meant to be released to the public. But a few slipped through the cracks, making them incredibly rare and valuable today. One of the most famous of these coins sold for over $35,000 at auction. What made it so valuable? It had very specific features. First, you could clearly see the remnants of the 1941 Canadian quarter design underneath the Washington quarter strike. This type of error is known as an overstrike. Add in the fact that it came from the Denver Mint, which usually didn't handle these types of planchets, and you've got yourself a one-of-a-kind collectible. But wait, there's more to the story. Even outside of the famous error, some high-grade 1970 quarters can still bring in serious money. Collectors pay a premium for coins that are in mint state condition. We're talking MS-66, MS-67, and especially MS-68. These are coins that have never been circulated, show no wear, and still maintain their original mint luster. As of now, a standard 1970 Washington quarter in circulated condition is only worth its face value, 25 cents. But in uncirculated grades, you could see values anywhere from $5 to $25, depending on condition and eye appeal. And for coins that grade MS-67 or higher from top grading companies like PCGS or NGC, the price jumps dramatically. Some have sold for over $100. However, if you're lucky enough to find one of those ultra-rare error overstrikes on a foreign coin planchet, the value skyrockets. These can bring in tens of thousands of dollars at auction. That's life-changing money for something you might find tucked away in an old coin jar or inherited collection. So how do you know if you have a valuable 1970 quarter? First, check the condition. Is it shiny and crisp with no signs of wear? That's a good start. Next, look closely at the surface under good lighting or with a magnifying glass. Do you see any unusual markings, double images, or signs of another coin design underneath? That could indicate an error coin. And finally, if you think you have something special, don't guess. Submit it to a professional grading service. A small fee could be the key to unlocking a fortune. Let's also take a moment to appreciate the art and history of this coin. The Washington quarter remained unchanged for over 60 years before it was redesigned in the late 1990s. It has passed through countless hands, pocket change, and coin rolls, a symbol of everyday American life. And yet, among the millions of ordinary quarters, a few rare treasures lie waiting to be discovered. In summary, the 1970 Washington quarter is mostly common, but a select few examples, especially those with rare mint errors, can be worth thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. Collectors value rarity, condition, and historical quirks, and this coin has it all in the right circumstances. Before we wrap up, a quick tip: always check your change. Coin collecting is not just a hobby. It's a treasure hunt. The next valuable coin might be sitting in your pocket right now. We're diving deep into the fascinating world of coin collecting and shining the spotlight on one very special piece of American history, the 1965 Washington quarter. What makes this coin so important? Why are collectors always on the lookout for one? And how can a simple quarter from 1965 be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars today? You're about to find out. Let's rewind to the early 1960s. At that time, American coins contained real silver. Up until 1964, the Washington quarter was made of 90% silver and 10% copper. But in 1965, everything changed. The rising price of silver led to a nationwide coin shortage, and the U.S. Mint made a critical decision to stop making quarters from silver. The 1965 Washington quarter was the very first in the series to be minted with a new composition. Instead of silver, it was made from a copper-nickel clad, essentially copper sandwiched between two layers of nickel. It looked similar to earlier quarters, but it was completely different on the inside. This change marked the end of an era. Now you might be thinking, if these quarters aren't silver, why are they valuable? The answer lies in a few key details. First, there's the mystery and rarity of transitional errors. In 1965, some quarters were accidentally struck on leftover 1964 silver planchets. These are known as transitional error coins, and they are incredibly rare. If you ever come across a 1965 quarter that rings like a silver coin or weighs slightly more than the standard 5.67 grams, you might just be holding a silver quarter that was never supposed to exist. These coins have been known to sell for thousands of dollars. One example sold at auction for over $7,000. Imagine that, turning a 25-cent piece into a small fortune. Another factor that drives up value is condition. Most 1965 quarters were heavily circulated and used in everyday transactions for decades. Finding one in pristine condition is a challenge. Uncirculated coins with sharp details and a bright original luster can command premium prices, especially if they're graded by a professional service like PCGS or ENC. Let's talk about the grading scale. Coins are graded from 1 to 70, with higher numbers meaning better condition. A 1965 Washington quarter graded MS65 or higher, that means mint state, can sell for anywhere from $30 to $300 or more depending on eye appeal and market demand. And if you find one with full strike details known as full drum lines or full strike on Washington's hair, you could be looking at an even more valuable piece. But we're not done yet. There's also the matter of special strikes. While no proof coins were officially made in 1965, the Mint did experiment with special mint sets or SMS coins that year. These coins were specially struck for collectors using polished dies and higher pressure. They have a more mirror-like surface and are often mistaken for proofs. A high-grade 1965 SMS quarter can fetch $100 or more. Now let's talk about the market. As of this year, the value of the 1965 Washington quarter depends heavily on condition, rarity, and whether it contains any mint errors. Regular circulated coins are still worth about face value, 25 cents, but anything above that in mint state condition climbs quickly in price. SMS coins average between $10 and $150. And those elusive silver planchet errors, well, those are the jackpot. Easily bringing in several $1,000s at auction. Collectors are paying close attention to these coins, now more than ever thanks to increased awareness on social media and rising demand for vintage U.S. coinage. The best part is that 1965 quarters are still out there in pocket change and old jars just waiting to be discovered. So what should you look for? First, check the date. If it says 1965, that's your starting point. Then weigh the coin. If it weighs close to 6.25 grams, it could be a silver transitional error. Inspect the rim. A silver coin won't show the copper core that's visible on regular clad coins, and if you find a coin in exceptional condition, little to no wear sharp details and shiny surfaces, consider getting it graded. It could turn out to be much more than just pocket change. To wrap up, the 1965 Washington quarter is more than just a coin. It's a symbol of a turning point in American numismatic history. While most are common, a few rare examples are worth serious money, and some are still waiting to be found by lucky collectors like you. We're diving into the story of the 1988 Washington $quarter coin, a piece of American currency that you've probably seen countless times, but don't let its common appearance fool you. Some of these quarters are worth far more than just 25 cents. In fact, a few rare examples have sold for hundreds, even thousands of dollars. Let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter has been a staple of U.S. pocket change since 1932. It was originally created to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. The design by John Flanagan became instantly iconic, showing a left-facing portrait of the first president on the obverse. On the reverse, an eagle perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath symbolizes America's strength and its commitment to peace. Now, the 1988 D Washington quarter was struck at the Denver Mint. That's what the small letter D under the eagle represents. Over 596 million of these coins were produced, so you're probably thinking, how can something so common be worth big money? And that's a great question. The truth is, most 1988 D quarters are only worth face value if they've been in circulation. But here's where it gets interesting. A small number of these coins were struck with rare errors or are in such pristine condition that collectors are willing to pay top dollar to add them to their collections. Let's talk about condition first. In the coin collecting world, condition is everything. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a flawless coin under magnification. Coins that are uncirculated, meaning they never entered everyday use, tend to be in much better shape. A regular 1988 D quarter in mint state 65 condition might sell for around $5 to $10. Not bad for something that costs 25 cents, right? But the value can jump significantly as the grade improves. A 1988 D quarter graded MS67, which is nearly perfect, has been known to sell for upwards of $100 or more at auction. These coins are incredibly rare. Only a small handful ever achieve that level of quality, and they're usually found in old mint sets or rolls that have been untouched for decades. Now let's get to the really exciting part, error coins. Sometimes the US Mint makes mistakes. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, collectors go crazy for them. And yes, the 1988 D Washington quarter has some error versions that are highly sought after. For example, there are known examples of off-center strikes, where the design is not properly aligned. Depending on how dramatic the error is, an off-center 1988 D quarter can sell for anywhere from $50 to several $100s. Then there are coins with die cracks, die clashes, and even double dies, where parts of the design are duplicated due to a misalignment during the minting process. One double die quarter from 1988 D reportedly sold for several $100s, all because of a visible doubling in the lettering on the front of the coin. That's why collectors always recommend checking your coins with a magnifying glass or loupe. You never know what you might find. But here's a tip. Even if you find a 1988 D quarter that looks unusual, its value can vary widely depending on the market. A certified coin graded and authenticated by professional services like PCGS or NGC can command much higher prices than an uncertified one. So if you think you've found a winner, getting it graded might be worth the investment. Now, let's talk about the current market. As of this year, average circulated 1988 D quarters still only fetch around face value. But uncirculated coins and those with certified high grades are trending upward in value. The demand for pristine coins continues to grow as more collectors enter the hobby, especially online through platforms like eBay and heritageauctions.to give you an idea of just how far this can go. One 1988 D Washington quarter in pristine MS67 condition was sold for over $300. That's 1,200 times its face value. And remember, these coins are still out there. You might even have one in a jar, drawer, or coin roll right now. So the next time you get change from a store or break open a roll of quarters, take a moment and look closely. Check the date, check the mint mark, and look for signs of unusual detail, doubling, or mint errors. It could be the difference between a coin that's worth 25 cents and one that's worth a small fortune. And there you have it, the story of the 1988 D Washington quarter dollar. It's not just a coin. It's a piece of American history with hidden value just waiting to be discovered. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want more videos on valuable coins and collecting tips, be sure to like this video. We're diving deep into the fascinating story of the 1995 D Washington quarter dollar coin, a seemingly ordinary piece of pocket change that could be hiding a small fortune. You might just have one of these valuable coins in your collection, in your coin jar, or even rattling around in your car's cup holder. Let's explore why this quarter is worth paying attention to. First, let's start with a little background. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American coinage since 1932, when it was first minted to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. The obverse of the coin features the iconic profile of Washington, designed by John Flanagan, while the reverse carried the heraldic eagle until the design was changed in 1999 for the 50-state quarters program. Now zooming into the year 1995. This was the last full year before the state quarters took over, and it was minted in two primary locations, Philadelphia and Denver. The Denver Mint is signified by the small D mint mark found on the right side of Washington's ponytail, just above the coin's date. Over 1.1 billion Washington quarters were minted in Denver alone in 1995. That's billion with a B. So at first glance, it might seem like these coins are common and not worth more than face value. But here's where the story gets interesting. Despite the massive number of coins produced, not all 1995 D quarters are created equal. Some rare varieties and mint errors have turned these coins into valuable collectibles. So what exactly should you be looking for? Let's start with condition. A circulated 1995 D Washington quarter in average condition is still only worth 25 cents. But when you find one in brilliant uncirculated condition or higher, the value can jump significantly. For example, a 1995 D quarter graded MS67 by PCGS or NGC can be worth anywhere from $50 to $100, depending on demand. And in the rarest cases, coins graded MS68 have sold for several $100s at auction. In fact, a pristine 1995 D quarter once fetched over $800 due to its flawless strike and exceptional surface quality. That's right, a common quarter turning into an $800 payday simply because of how well it was preserved. Now let's talk about errors and varieties. These are the real moneymakers. The most valuable 1995 D Washington quarters are those with major mint errors, and some of them are truly dramatic. One example is the off-center strike. These are coins that were not struck in the center of the planchet, resulting in a noticeably misaligned design. Depending on the severity of the error and how much of the design is missing, these coins can be worth anywhere from $50 to several $100s. Another error to look out for is the double die. While most people associate the famous double die errors with the 1955 Lincoln cent or the 1969 S penny, double die quarters also exist. If you find a 1995 D Washington quarter where the lettering appears slightly doubled, especially in the word Liberty or in God We Trust, you might have a valuable error coin on your hands. These coins can be worth hundreds depending on the clarity and placement of the doubling. Also keep an eye out for clipped planchets. That's when a portion of the coin is missing because it was struck on a planchet that wasn't fully round. These quirky-looking coins can sell for good money, especially when authenticated by a third-party grading service. Even more subtle errors like die cracks, cuds, and misaligned dies can add value to a 1995 D quarter. These imperfections happen during the minting process, and while they may seem minor, collectors are always eager to find unique variants to complete their sets. But what about the current market value in 2025? Let's break it down. With interest in coin collecting surging again, especially online and through social media platforms, demand for error coins and high-grade modern issues is climbing. As of this year, a certified MS67 or higher 1995 D quarter can routinely bring in between $100 and $300 on sites like eBay, heritage auctions, and great collections. Coins with rare errors, such as a major double die or off-center strike, can easily command over $500 depending on their visual appeal. Raw coins, meaning those that haven't been graded yet, still have potential if they show minimal wear, no major scratches, and full original luster. Coin collectors and resellers often buy these in bulk, hoping to score big on a hidden gem. So if you're sorting through change or an old coin roll, don't overlook a shiny 1995 D quarter. It could be worth sending in for grading. Let's recap. The 1995 D Washington quarter is more than just pocket change. While billions were minted, high-grade examples and error coins can be worth serious money. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just getting started, it pays to know what to look for. Check for high-grade condition, look closely for doubling or striking errors, and consider professional grading if you believe your coin is something special. We dive deep into the world of coins, currency, and hidden treasures you may have right in your pocket or coin jar today. We're talking about a very specific coin, the 1996 P Washington quarter dollar. And trust me, you do not want to overlook this coin. It may seem like ordinary pocket change, but in some cases it has sold for hundreds and even thousands of dollars depending on the condition, variety, and demand. Before we get into what makes this coin valuable, let's step back and look at its history. The Washington quarter has been around since 1932, originally designed to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The obverse or front side of the coin features Washington's profile, Based on a bust by Jean-Antoine Houdon, the reverse side up until 1998 features an eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows with two olive branches beneath. Now the 1996p Washington quarter was minted in Philadelphia with over 925 million coins produced that year, making it seem like a very common coin, and yes, in circulated condition it usually is just worth its face value, 25 cents. But here's where it gets interesting. There are specific versions and conditions of this coin that make it extremely valuable to collectors. One key factor is the condition and grade of the coins that have been preserved in nearly perfect condition, especially those graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC can fetch big money. A 1996p quarter graded MS67 or higher can sell for hundreds of dollars, and if you are lucky enough to find one in MS68 or even higher, we're talking potentially thousands of dollars. So what exactly makes a coin grade that high? It all comes down to the strike, the luster, and the number of marks or blemishes on the coin. A coin straight from a mint set that has never been handled improperly or exposed to the elements stands a chance. Another big factor is errors. Yes, mint errors are like the lottery tickets of the coin world. Some rare 1996p Washington quarters come with striking mistakes such as double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and even clipped planchets. These coins are rare and highly sought after. For example, a 1996p quarter with a dramatic off-center error or a double die obverse can easily bring in several $100s or more depending on how visible and dramatic the error is. One especially desirable error is the double die obverse, which happens when the design is accidentally doubled during the minting process. Look for doubling in the letters I in God We Trust or Liberty if you see that you might have struck gold. Now let's talk current market values. As of today, a regular 1996p Washington quarter in circulated condition is worth 25 cents, nothing special, but an uncirculated coin graded MS65 might go for around $10 to $15. Not bad for something you could find in a roll of quarters. If you're lucky enough to get a coin in MS67, you might be looking at $100 to $200. MS68 coins have been known to fetch over $1,000 at auction, and of course error coins, depending on the type and severity, can range anywhere from $50 to over $500, and sometimes much more so. How can you find these gems? Start by checking your change. Yes, really many valuable coins have been discovered in everyday transactions. Go through rolls of quarters from your bank, search through old coin jars, dig through your collections, look for coins that are shiny with no scratches, check them under good lighting, or even use a magnifier to spot any doubling or off-center strikes. If you think you found something special, you can send it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC to get it authenticated and graded. That's how you can turn pocket change into serious money. Before we wrap up, here's a quick tip. 1996 was also a year for special mint sets, including the 1996 United States Mint 5 coin proof set and the silver proof set. While these typically do not include mint errors, they do offer stunning coin finishes and might have quarters in pristine condition already worthy of higher grades. So there you have it, folks. The 1996p Washington quarter dollar might be more than just pocket change. With a sharp eye and a little bit of luck, you could uncover a hidden treasure. We're diving deep into two iconic United States quarters that have become the subject of intense interest among coin collectors across the country and even around the world. I'm talking about the 2000p Washington quarter and the 1788 dated state quarters. These coins might look ordinary to the average person, but as we'll discover today, they can be worth a whole lot more than just 25 cents. So if you've got a jar of spare change sitting at home, you'll definitely want to stick around and see if you might be holding on to a small fortune. Let's start with the 2000p Washington quarter. The P mint mark means it was minted in Philadelphia. Now, 2000 was a big year for quarter collectors. That was right in the middle of the 50-state quarters program launched by the U.S. Mint in 1999. Each quarter featured a unique design representing one of the 50 states. But not all coins were created equal. The 2000p series includes a few state quarters like the South Carolina, New Hampshire, Virginia, and Massachusetts quarters. And here's where things get interesting. While these coins were mass-produced, we're talking hundreds of millions per design. Some rare errors and variations have made them incredibly valuable. One famous example is the 2000p South Carolina quarter with a major off-center strike error. This means the design was stamped incorrectly, causing part of the image or lettering to be missing or shifted. One of these in mint state condition sold for over $100. And that's just for an off-center strike. Another standout is the 2000p New Hampshire quarter with a double die error. This rare variation shows slight but noticeable doubling in the text or design elements of the coin. Depending on condition and the prominence of the doubling, these coins have sold for $200 or more at auction. There's also a highly sought-after experimental planchet error. Some 2000 quarters were mistakenly struck on different types of metal blanks, or planchets, used for other coins or in test runs. These errors can fetch hundreds, sometimes even over $1,000, especially if authenticated by a third-party grading service like PCGS or NGC. Now let's move on to the 1788 quarters. Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, quarters weren't even around in 1788. And you're absolutely right. So what's going on with that date? Here's the deal. The 1788 date appears on several of the state quarters released in the year 1999 and 2000. That's because many states were ratified into the Union in 1788. For example, Georgia, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maryland, and South Carolina all became U.S. states in that year. So, when those states got their quarter designs in the 50-state quarters program, they featured the date 1788 on the reverse side of the coin, honoring the year they joined the Union. These 1788 state quarters might be common in circulation, but just like the 2000 P series, there are rare versions that can command big money. Let's talk about Georgia 1788 quarters. Some were minted with clipped planchet errors, meaning a portion of the coin is literally missing due to a minting mistake. These can sell for $50 to $150 depending on how dramatic the clip is. There are also die cracks, cuds, and strike-through errors found on Massachusetts or Connecticut quarters that have that same 1788 date. These errors occur when parts of the minting equipment fail or debris gets in the way during production. Collectors love these anomalies because they tell a unique story of the coin's creation, and they're rare. But let's talk about what most of you really want to know. What's the current market value of these coins? What are people paying today? As of now, in 2025, a standard 2000 P state quarter in circulated condition is still worth face value. But if it's uncirculated, we're talking mint state 65 or higher, the value jumps. These can sell from $1 to $10 depending on the state and condition. Certified examples with error features or perfect strike quality, called MS67 or higher, can go for $100 or more. AS for the 1788 dated quarters. Again, these are only valuable in exceptional condition or with verified errors. A perfect example in a sealed slab from PCGS or NGC could bring in $50, $100, or even $200 depending on the buyer and the error type. If you have a full roll of state quarters from the year 2000 or any from states ratified in 1788, it's definitely worth going through them with a magnifying glass. Look for doubling on the lettering. Look for odd edges, off-center strikes, missing details, or unusual metal coloring. If something looks off, it might just be an error coin. And those errors are where the money is. Also, don't forget proof coins. The U.S. Mint sold proof sets each year. Proof quarters from 2000 with deep cameo contrast, especially those struck in silver, can sell for $20 to $50 each or more depending on demand. To sum it all up, the 2000 P Washington quarters and the 1788 dated state quarters are much more than pocket change. They're modern collectibles with potential value far beyond their face. The key is knowing what to look for. Error coins, high-grade examples, and unusual varieties are what make these coins worth real money. So go check your change jars. Dig through your old coin rolls. You never know when you might stumble on a small treasure hiding in plain sight. If any of those coins could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most surprising modern quarters that could be sitting right in your pocket, the 2002 Washington quarter. Specifically, we're talking about the 2002 P and 2002 D state quarters from the 50-state quarters program. These aren't just your everyday pocket change. Some of them are worth a fortune, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for. Let's go back to the beginning. In 1999, the United States Mint launched the 50-state quarters program, one of the most successful and widely collected coin series in U.S. history. Every year from 1999 to 2008, 5 new quarters were released, each celebrating a different state. The coins featured unique designs on the reverse side, while the obverse side continued to show the iconic bust of George Washington. Fast forward to 2002. This year featured 5 states: Tennessee, Ohio, Louisiana, Indiana, and Mississippi. Each design had its own unique symbolism and historical significance, but what makes the 2002 quarters particularly interesting isn't just their artistic detail. It's the rare errors and low mintage issues that have sent their value skyrocketing in the collector's market. Now, let's break down the key coins from 2002. First, we have the 2002 P Ohio quarter, Struck at the Philadelphia Mint. It's made from the standard copper-nickel clad composition, but if you come across one in pristine uncirculated condition, especially graded MS68 or higher by a service like PCGS or NGC, it can fetch $150 or more at auction. But that's just the start. The real treasures lie in the error coins, the coins that came out of the mint with something wrong, something unusual, something rare. These errors make coins extremely valuable to collectors. One major error to look for on 2002 state quarters is known as the off-center strike. This happens when the coin isn't properly aligned during the minting process, and part of the design ends up missing. Depending on how far off-center the strike is and how much of the design remains visible, values can range from $50 to over $500. Another huge moneymaker is the double die error. This occurs when the coin is struck more than once by the die, but slightly misaligned each time. On the 2002 quarters, especially the Tennessee and Indiana coins, there have been reports of doubling on the inscriptions like United States of America or E pluribus unum. If you spot this under magnification, you might be holding a coin worth hundreds of dollars or more. Then there's the clad layer missing error. Normally, a quarter has a copper core sandwiched between two layers of nickel. But sometimes the outer layer is missing from one side of the coin, exposing the pure copper underneath. These errors are dramatic, highly collectible, and can sell for over $300 depending on condition. Now, let's talk about proof coins. In 2002, the U.S. Mint also produced special proof versions of the state quarters. These were struck with extra care, using polished dies and special planchets, and sold directly to collectors. There are two types of proof coins from 2002, the standard copper-nickel clad proofs and the more valuable 90% silver proofs. A 2002 S silver proof quarter in perfect PF70 condition can fetch up to $60 each, especially if it's from a popular state like Ohio or Louisiana. But a full 5-coin 2002 silver proof set, still sealed and graded, can bring in over $200. And if you're lucky enough to find one with a mint error like a double strike or a cameo contrast anomaly, you're looking at serious money. So what about the 2002 D quarters, the ones from the Denver Mint? The same rules apply. While most circulated 2002 D quarters are worth face value, uncirculated examples in MS67 and higher can bring anywhere from $30 to $150. But again, the errors are where the real money is. Look for die cracks, cuds, clipped planchets, and misalignments. A single 2002 D quarter with a dramatic error recently sold at auction for over $1,000. Now let's bring it all together. If you have a 2002 Washington quarter from either Philadelphia or Denver, check the condition first. Coins in mint state, meaning they haven't been circulated, are always worth more. Next, look closely for any strange features. Doubling, off-center images, missing layers, or odd textures. Use a magnifying glass or even a USB microscope if you have one. And don't overlook the proof sets, especially the silver ones. These are often found in estate sales, flea markets, and online auctions. If you see a 2002 proof set selling for less than $50, and it includes silver coins in great condition, it could be a smart investment. In summary, while most 2002 quarters are common, the rare ones are very valuable. From dramatic mint errors to high-grade proof examples, these coins have proven that even modern pocket change can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. So the next time you get a handful of change, take a second look. That 2002 quarter might just be your lucky find. We're diving deep into the 2019 D Washington $quarter coins and why they might be worth a lot more than you think. So sit back, relax, and let's talk about a coin that could be hiding in your pockets right now, worth some serious money. First things first, let's talk about the coin itself. The Washington quarter has been a staple in American currency for decades. The coin was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate George Washington's 200th birthday. Over the years, it's undergone several design changes. But the most important thing to know is that each version of the quarter has its own unique appeal to collectors. And when it comes to the 2019 D Washington quarter, this coin holds a special place in the hearts of many coin collectors. Why is the 2019 D Washington $quarter so significant? Well, the D mint mark on this coin represents the Denver Mint, which is one of the primary mints in the United States. But that's not the only thing that sets the 2019 D quarter apart. If you look closely, you'll notice that the coin was part of a larger set of commemorative quarters released in 2019. The U.S. Mint released these quarters to honor national parks, wildlife, and landmarks across the United States. The specific coin we're focusing on here is the 2019 D design, featuring the National Park of American Samoa. So, what makes this coin valuable? To start, the 2019 D Washington Quarter is part of a broader series of coins known as the America the Beautiful Quarters program. This program started in 2010 and featured designs that celebrated the rich history and natural beauty of the United States. The American Samoa Quarter, designed for release in 2019, commemorates the National Park of American Samoa, which is located in the U.S. territory of American Samoa in the Pacific Ocean. Now, let's get to the part you're probably most interested in. How much is this coin worth? When it comes to modern U.S. coins, the value can vary greatly based on a number of factors: rarity, condition, and demand. In general, the 2019 D Washington Quarter is worth face value, or 25 cents, if it's in circulation and in typical condition. But that doesn't tell the whole story. If you have a 2019 D Washington Quarter that is in uncirculated condition, meaning it hasn't been used for transactions and has retained its original shine and luster, it could be worth a little more. In fact, a coin in mint condition might fetch anywhere from $1 to $2 on the open market, depending on the buyer and the demand for that specific design. But that's just the beginning. Some coins, especially those in pristine condition, may even be worth more to collectors. If you happen to have a coin that is graded by a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC, its value could increase significantly. Coins that are graded as MS 67 or higher, mint state, have the potential to command higher prices. A 2019 D Washington Quarter in such a high grade could sell for $10 or more, depending on how rare the coin is considered by collectors at the time. But there's more. As with any collectible item, scarcity plays a huge role in determining value. For example, if there was a limited mintage of a specific design or if there were any errors during the minting process, those coins could be worth much more. Error coins, such as those with misprints, double dies, or other unique features, are highly sought after by coin collectors. If you happen to find a 2019 D Washington Quarter with an unusual minting defect, it could fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. For those looking to make a profit from collecting these coins, the key is to keep an eye on the market and pay attention to grading, rarity, and potential errors. The coin market can fluctuate, so what's valuable today may not be as valuable tomorrow, and vice versa. However, if you're willing to put in the time to learn about the different types of Washington Quarters and follow coin auctions and sales, you could turn a modest coin collection into something worth a significant amount of money. So, let's talk about the current market value for the 2019 D Washington Quarter. As of now, the value of the coin is relatively modest, but that doesn't mean it's not worth keeping an eye on. In general, you'll find the value of a 2019 D Washington Quarter ranging from 25 cents to a few dollars for coins in excellent condition. However, with the right collector's market, minting errors, and rarity, this coin could be worth much more in the future. To wrap things up, the 2019 D Washington Quarter dollar coin, while not an instant jackpot for anyone with a pocket full of quarters, does hold some fascinating potential for collectors. Whether you're just getting started in the world of coin collecting or you've been doing it for years, it's always good to know which coins could be worth more than their face value. And who knows? You might have a rare and valuable 2019 D Washington Quarter hiding in your change jar right now. Thanks for watching this video, and if you found this information helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on coin collecting and other valuable tips. Happy collecting, and keep an eye on your pocket change. You never know what you might find.